These Bibles are really important for a number of reasons because they date to a period when Christianity had transitioned from being a sort of underground cult religion to...
What if the Bible is more than an ancient book of stories? Recently, researchers used advanced artificial intelligence to analyze its structure, expecting to find randomness from dozens of authors writing across many centuries. Instead, the system discovered something surprising. In many of the moments where miracles occur, the prayers follow the same hidden four-step pattern. Even more mysterious, the text also contains repeating numerical structures, especially involving the number 7. These discoveries have led some researchers to believe the Bible may contain a deeper design than previously imagined. When artificial intelligence studied the Bible. When artificial intelligence systems were first developed, their main purpose was to solve modern problems such as analyzing financial markets, predicting weather patterns, and processing massive scientific data. However, one research team decided to test the technology in a very unusual way. Instead of studying modern data sets, they fed the entire text of the Bible into an advanced AI system. Their goal was simple. They wanted to see if the machine could identify patterns that humans had missed over centuries of study. From a historical perspective, the Bible should have appeared inconsistent to the machine. It was written over roughly 1,500 years by more than 40 different authors. These writers came from very different backgrounds. Some were kings, others were shepherds, fishermen, prophets, or scholars. They also wrote in different languages, mainly Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek. Because of these differences, researchers expected the structure of prayers and stories to vary widely. Instead, the AI discovered something surprising. Many of the prayers connected with important moments in the text followed a similar structure. The pattern appeared in different time periods and across different authors. It seemed to show up especially during moments where miracles or dramatic changes occurred. This discovery caught the attention of several researchers because the pattern appeared far too frequently to be ignored. While some experts believe the pattern may simply reflect common cultural traditions of prayer, others think it could reveal a deeper structure hidden within the ancient text. Regardless of the explanation, the findings opened a new conversation about how technology can reveal unexpected patterns in historical writings. The anchor principle. The first step identified by researchers is often described as the anchor principle. In many biblical prayers, the person praying does not immediately begin by asking for help or describing their problem. Instead, they start by recognizing the power and authority of God. This opening statement acts like a mental anchor, shifting the focus away from fear and toward faith. One example of this pattern appears in the story of King Jehoshaphat. When several powerful armies gathered to attack his kingdom, the situation seemed impossible to survive. Rather than starting his prayer with panic or desperation, he first acknowledged the greatness of God. He spoke about how all nations and kingdoms ultimately belong to the Creator. Only after establishing this idea did he mention the danger facing his people. According to the biblical story, something remarkable happened afterward. The invading armies became confused and began fighting each other instead of attacking the kingdom. As a result, the people of the land did not even need to enter the battle. Researchers studying the AI findings noticed that this opening step appears repeatedly in many prayers across the Bible. The person praying begins by focusing on divine power instead of personal problems. Some psychologists believe this kind of mental shift can reduce anxiety and create a stronger sense of hope. Whether viewed from a spiritual or psychological perspective, the anchor principle seems to play an important role in many biblical accounts of prayer. It prepares the mind before the actual request is even made, aligning with a greater purpose. The second step discovered in the analysis involves aligning personal requests with a larger purpose. In many biblical stories, people who pray successfully do not focus only on their own desires. Instead, they connect their requests to something greater than themselves. A well-known example can be found in the story of Hannah. For many years, she struggled with the deep emotional pain of not being able to have children. In ancient times, this situation often brought social shame and personal suffering. Eventually, her prayer changed in a significant way. Instead of asking for a child only to remove her own pain, she promised that if she were given a son, she would dedicate his life to serving God. According to the story, her prayer was answered, and her son Samuel later became an important spiritual leader in Israel. Researchers noticed that this pattern appears in several other biblical stories as well. When King Solomon became ruler, he did not ask for wealth, fame, or military power. Instead, he asked for wisdom so he could lead his people with justice. The narrative says that because of this request, he eventually received both wisdom and prosperity. This pattern suggests that successful prayers often involve a purpose beyond personal benefit. By connecting their request to a greater mission or responsibility, the person praying shows a willingness to contribute to something larger than themselves. This step may explain why many of these prayers are remembered as powerful moments in biblical history. The power of surrender, the third step found in the analysis, may seem unusual to modern thinkers. Many of the prayers connected with important events include a moment where the person asking for help also accepts that the final outcome may not be what they expect. This step is sometimes described as surrender. At first, this idea appears contradictory. Why would someone ask for something while also accepting that the answer could be different from what they want? However, this pattern appears repeatedly throughout the Bible. One of the most famous examples occurs in the story of Jesus praying in the Garden of Gethsemane. Facing an extremely painful future, he asks if the coming events could be avoided. But he finishes the prayer by saying that the final decision should follow the will of God rather than his own wishes. This moment illustrates the balance between hope and trust. The person expresses their request honestly, but also recognizes that a greater perspective may exist beyond their understanding. Modern psychology describes a similar process called acceptance. When individuals stop trying to control every possible outcome, their stress levels often decrease and their thinking becomes clearer. Instead of being trapped by fear, they gain emotional strength to face whatever happens next. Researchers notice that many biblical prayers include this moment of surrender. Rather than demanding a specific result, the person places trust in something greater than their own plans. Persistence in prayer. Another pattern discovered in the analysis is persistence. Many biblical stories describe people praying repeatedly instead of asking once and immediately receiving an answer. This repeated effort appears to be an important part of the process. One example comes from the prophet Elijah. During a severe drought, he prayed for rain. However, the sky did not change right away. Instead of giving up, he continued praying again and again. After several attempts, a small cloud finally appeared in the distance. Eventually, the sky filled with rain clouds and the long drought ended. Another story involves the prophet Daniel. According to the account, he prayed for understanding and guidance for 21 days before receiving an answer. These stories suggest that persistence and patience were considered essential elements of faith. Researchers studying these patterns notice that miracles rarely happen immediately after a single request. Often there is a period of waiting between the prayer and the result. Some scholars believe this delay allows circumstances to develop or change over time. Others think the waiting period strengthens the determination and belief of the person praying. Regardless of the explanation, persistence appears again and again throughout biblical narratives. The message seems clear. Important outcomes often require continued effort, belief, and patience, rather than expecting instant results. The mystery of the number 7. Beyond the prayer patterns, researchers also noticed something unusual in the mathematical structure of the Bible itself. Many sections of the original Hebrew and Greek texts appear to follow numerical patterns connected to the number 7. In ancient languages, letters were often assigned numerical values. This allowed scholars to analyze words and sentences not only for meaning, but also for numerical relationships. When researchers applied computer analysis to certain passages, they found that the number of words, letters, or phrases sometimes followed multiples of 7. The number 7 has long held symbolic importance in biblical tradition. The creation story describes the world being formed in 6 days with a 7th day of rest. Many religious festivals and rituals also followed 7-day cycles. Because of this symbolism, some scholars believe the numerical patterns were intentionally designed by ancient writers. However, the discovery has sparked debate among experts. Some mathematicians argue that the frequency of these patterns may be too high to be explained by coincidence alone. Others believe the patterns could be the result of literary style or editing practices used by early scribes. Regardless of the explanation, the repeated appearance of the number 7 has fascinated researchers for generations. With modern artificial intelligence now examining ancient texts, the mystery has gained new attention. The Bible continues to reveal layers of complexity that scholars and historians are still trying to fully understand. The deeper researchers study ancient texts, the more mysteries seem to appear. Whether these patterns are the result of careful design, spiritual insight, or simply coincidence, the discoveries continue to spark debate around the world. What is clear is that technology like artificial intelligence is allowing us to examine historical writings in ways never possible before. And sometimes those discoveries raise more questions than answers. If the Bible truly contains hidden structures and repeating patterns, it could change how people understand one of the most influential books in human history. But what do you think? Are these patterns meaningful, or are we simply seeing connections where none exist? If you found this video interesting, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with someone who enjoys exploring ancient mysteries. More fascinating discoveries and hidden history are coming soon.